Mr. President, thanks very much for speaking with the Voice of America News.
You're welcome.
If I may ask you, Mr. President, what is your main mission here in Washington, D.C.?
Yeah. Well, two things. First, I was invited as guest of honor at the Congressional International Conservative Foundation, which is a bipartisan group in this country, very powerful, interested in conservation in Africa, and they have activities in Kenya, activities in West Africa, I think in Botswana, Zambia, South America, Colombia, and so forth. And they want to set up, and we actually set up a caucus in Malawi, a bipartisan caucus in the parliament on conservation. So I was a keynote speaker last night, and that's why I came here. But also, in addition to that, there are other things I came to do here. I just came back from meeting the United States, a trade representative, met officials of Export-Import Bank, officials of OPIC, the tobacco growers, buyers, and all sorts of people. And as you know, the First Lady was here invited to launch the Global Women Initiative on Sanitation and Girl Child. She launched that. She signed the first declaration on that. She also spoke on Earth Day, on the same thing, environment, sustainability, especially as it affects also the girl child. So we've been extremely busy, and we're ready now to go back home tomorrow.
So, Mr. President, let me ask you this. You've been in office for approximately a year now.
Yeah.
What would you say has been your biggest achievement in resolving challenges, economic challenges that the people of Malawi face?
Yeah, thank you very much. It's 10 months now. I took office June 2nd,
right.
2014. As you know, when I entered government, we had the cascade scandal,
right,
which whereby senior civil servants led by political leadership, the government party, looted all the money from the government, 15 billion Malawi kwacha, which is equivalent to 40 million US dollars, which by Malawi standards, with the economy is a huge amount of money. When I entered government, there was absolutely nothing in the government. It was a challenge. When I took the government, the input cover was only 3 weeks. It's now almost 6 months. The input cover. There were almost no reserves to speak of. Now we have close to $1 billion US dollars, about 600 something in the reserve bank, and about 3 million something in the private banks and the bureaus. Total about $1 billion. That never happened. The highest accumulation in the history of Malawi, called $1 billion, and I hope that we can double that within a year. So I'm excited about that. The kwacha has now stabilized. I think I followed that.
Now, Mr. President, you came back, as you just said, we came to office with Cashgate scandals, people stealing the people's money, embezzlement, financial malfeasance, and all that.
Correct.
What is your commitment to weeding out graft in Malawi? Because a lot of Malawians says that corruption is endemic.
Well, I don't think it's endemic. It's certainly institutional, and to some extent is structural. I don't think it's endemic. I think what has happened is there was laxity in managing, for example, the public financial management system. The laws were there, but there was no accountability. When people travel somewhere and got government funds, they were supposed to account for, and the law requires that. They never accounted for. There was this culture of total irresponsibility, and that's what happened. Now, we are putting our stop to that. First of all, we're reforming the public finance management system. We're putting controls. I just addressed the civil servants. Before I came here, we're putting controllers who will be rotating in the various ministries, who will be reporting. Now, to the Treasury. Now, on the issue of corruption, I'm very serious about it. When I took office, I removed the director of the Anti-Corruption Bureau, Mike, to a lot of criticisms, and I put a person who's an expert on money laundering, expert on fraud, had 18 years here in Virginia, Deloitte and Touche. Right. Had 18 years of experience, a highly qualified man. So I put him there. His deputy is a lawyer. And the SB, it alternates. Either the director is a lawyer, the deputy is a financial person, vice versa. This time the deputy is a lawyer. He's doing a wonderful job. He knows how to trace all these things. I also removed the director of public prosecution and put a new director because I wanted seriousness. And we increased the budget of the Anti-Corruption Bureau by 168%. This has to show that we're serious. And we asked assistance from the British government. They sent us 2 experts, one in the Ministry of Trade, Ministry of Justice, to trace, who knows expert on fraud and so forth. And another one, the second one at the Anti-Corruption Bureau, who is also involved in assisting the director. So I put all the mechanisms in place. Investigations are going on. Some very senior people have been indicted. When I was leaving, the Accountant General was arrested. Investigations are continuing, and we expect them to lead wherever they may lead. So we're very serious about this. I undertook to uphold the law and the Constitution when I saw. I took an oath of office. So I'm doing that.
You know, the international donors that support Malawi's budget withheld some funds because of lack of what they said, transparency and all that. You have been doing a good job. Do you think by what you have done, that would unlock the funds that are being withheld from your budget?
Yeah, I would hope so. As you know, the donors provided budget support of 40% of the current budget. 40%. They withdrew that. So for the last 11 months, we have been operating on our own with no donor support, using our own resources, proper collection, cutting back on spending, travel, and all those kinds of things. Well, money, for example, I used the cabinet, eliminating 70 ministries.
Right.
We want to have 18 ministries, cutting off 20, including the president and vice president. That alone saves us 20 billion over 5 years, which is about 50 million US dollars,
right.
Which by economy is a lot of money. I also cut back travel, proper management, ministers, everybody, including myself, and that's saving us 70 billion kwacha in 5 years. That translates into about 175 million US dollars.
Right.
For us, that's a lot of money. In terms of our economy, that alone made a difference, and we were doing all sorts of other things. Now, we strengthened the kwacha, as I said. We strengthened the kwacha. It's very strong. As I mentioned earlier, I don't know if you mentioned now, but when I took over the government, we had done 3 weeks of import cover.
Right.
I think I mentioned that already.
Yes.
Right. It's now almost 6 months. So we have done all the things that now, in light of that, we control wages and so forth. We find out after 6 years, have an agreement with the IMF. 4 weeks ago, we had an agreement, and that means the approving of the financial measures we're taking, but also macroeconomic measures we're taking. And we hope that will signal to many others, including private investors. Now, on the donors, budget support had 2 groups of donors, what's called CABS, Common Approach to Budget Support. We had bilateral donors, Germany, Norway, and Britain.
Right.
They had multilateral donors, the World Bank, African Development Bank, and the European Union, and to some extent IMF. Now it's clear, as you say, the Germans, I think, have made it clear that they're not coming back in terms of budget support. And I believe the Norwegians, the British have not made clear their position yet. Now, on the multilateral donors, well, I think the expectation that some of them will probably come back. Those are the indications. But as of now, we don't know yet.
But Mr. President, you said that 40% of Malawi's budget used to be supported by donors.
Correct.
Now, what specific steps are you going to take in order to cover that? Because it's it can be used as a stick to beat Malawi.
Yes, yes. But we were managed now for 10 months without it. Well, yeah, measures were taking, as I say, cut back on spending, proper collection of taxes, and those kinds of things. And on the basis of that, and prudent spending, and management, accountability, and so forth. With all those places, we're able to, as you know, also, I think you have to understand this. When they say 40% of the current budget, that's what they promise.
Right.
But the actual disbursement, you know the story. It's not quite come close to that because there are also measures that have to be satisfied conditions. So sometimes you don't get that. But so it was never a 40% in terms of actually being delivered or disbursed. The actual disbursement was maybe a bit less than that. But in any event, we have money at the moment, but we hope that you ask me, what do you think? We hope they'll come back. I've made it very clear that in 5 years, I would like Malawi to be self-sufficient as far as budget support is concerned for the current budget. But between now and then, obviously we'll need support of infrastructure, assist us in expanding our export base so that we can sell more and buy less. As I say, our policy is to turn ourselves from importing, consuming nation to producing and exporting nation. Mm-hmm. At the moment, we have a payment trade deficit. No, we'd like to reverse that and have a trade surplus. So we're working towards that, and if we can achieve that, I think we should be able to stay on our own, as we should. We want to. We have been independent for 50 years. Right. I think we're now middle age, and at some point, I think a child has to leave home. Right. And stay on his own.
well, Mr. President, let's look at this aspect where Malawi usually faces drought. Yeah. What measures are you putting in place to ensure Malawi is food sufficient and will not necessarily depend on donor support or support from other neighboring countries to always come to the aid of Malawians?
Yeah, I agree. This is, Mr. Clottey, it's an extremely complicated problem. I think it's part of the whole question of climate change. I remember when I was growing up, the rains come in October. Right. And by November we planted. By December, Christmas, we're eating green maize. We always look forward to around Christmas. Right. Now the rain doesn't come sometimes on December or January. Everything, if it comes at all, and if it comes, sometimes it's so severe like this year. Right. But the floods or nothing at all. No, it's amazing. Mm-hmm. That Malawi at its longest point is probably 365 miles. Mm-hmm. And yet, half the country was devastated with incredible rains for 3 days, floods. The other half, northern half, complete drought. Right. It's amazing, the same country. Complete drought, no rain. So, that's the situation we're facing now. To answer your question, first of all, we have to move away from rain-fed agriculture. That's the answer. And as you know, we have the Green Belt Initiative, which my brother started. Under that initiative, right now, we're planning to put 1 million hectares under irrigation. And then we hope that will help with growing food for consumption, but also cash crops like sugar canes, soybeans, pigeon peas, and others, which have a tremendous market in Asia. So we're moving in that direction, and we hope by doing that, I think we'll probably be food sufficient. Now, to stop, to prevent the consequences of heavy rains, we're engaged in massive reforestation, massive planting of trees, and so forth, to make sure it's on all those areas where trees have been wantonly destroyed or cut. Those are the areas where, in fact, the drought and the flood had the most devastating effect. So we are doing that, and we hope that will bring about food sufficiency.
Let's look at your region in the Southern African Development Community, SADC. Recently, there have been xenophobic attacks in neighboring South Africa where some Malawians were affected. Your government bussed a lot of them back to Malawi. What are your views about these xenophobic attacks, especially when Malawi played a critical role during apartheid regime?
Yes. Yeah, you know, it's unfortunate that it has happened. You know, these things are how people are. But we're working on that. Right now, we're repatriating our people. Yesterday, over 400 people came. And then tomorrow, about 1,000 are coming. There's a total of close to 4,000. And we hope by the end of next week, all Malawians who want to come back home, they'll come back home. And we'll assist them in resettling them and so forth. We're doing that already. Now, in terms of long-term, well, you know, the economies in SADC are integrated everywhere in Africa, and in that area, whether it's Malawi, Tanzania, Zambia, Zimbabwe, South Africa, of course, Mozambique. You always find nationals from other countries. The only countries of many Malawians. I'm sorry, we're many South Africans, we have Tanzanians, we have Ghanaians, Nigerians, Burundians, Rwandese, Mozambicans. They're all there. They all live there. That's the way Africa has been. And from the time of colonial days, people always went to South Africa under what was called Wenela, Witwatersrand Native Labour Association. They were used to recruit people from Malawi, Zimbabwe, then was Nyasaland, Northern Rhodesia, then we know Zambia, to South Africa, Zimbabwe, some of those countries there, to work there. So this is a tradition that's not gone for close to 100 years. People have always gone there, some have lived there, some have become natives, or what is their children. So this has happened for a long time. So this is a very interesting phenomenon, and I think the question is now the new leadership, we need to deal with this, and we're working on it. After tomorrow, I'm leaving tomorrow, the foreign minister who is here will be going straight to South Africa to talk to his counterpart. I'm in touch with you know, my brother, President Zuma. We'll be talking, and next week we'll have a summit of SADC in Harare on 29th, and I'm sure we will talk about these things. And the summit is about integration.
Right.
Right? You know, so what's more integration than people?
Right.
We integrate because we want to help people, right? We want people to have a better life.
Right.
That's why I'm talking about integration.
But wouldn't
so human
this,
beings have got to be part of this.
Well, Mr. President, wouldn't this undermine that integration effort that you, President Zuma, and the rest in the sub-region are trying to put together to reunite the people and boost your economies, among other issues?
It could. It could. And that's why I think we're trying to describe that. We're describing that. But the point is, when we're talking about integrating our economies, also we're talking about integrating our people.
Right.
In the European Union, we have free movement of people. The social charter, European social charter, that's the main instrument for free movement. So in an integrated economy, which a region where you're talking about,
right,
it means that there will be free movement of people and freedom to reside in any of the countries. So this is part of the process of that, and I'm sure when we agree on integration, the structure of it, the framework of it, the issue of people should be at the center of it, because why integrate if people cannot move across borders?
Right.
People and goods both have to move. Right. Exactly. So we're doing that, and I'm sure we'll come to some kind of resolution of this.
So, President Mutharika, what is the current relationship between Lilongwe and Pretoria following these xenophobic attacks?
Well, it's the same. It only happened a week ago, since I left. You know, nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. As I say, the minister will be going there. We'll keep on talking. I mean, this is not the action of the government.
Yeah.
I think the government is trying to do its best. I know my brother, President Zuma, cut short his trip to Indonesia for a very important conference, Bandung conference, 60 years of Bandung. He did not go to deal with his problem. So he's addressing it. It's the people, it's not the government which is doing this, but it's the people who are frustrated. You have seen the demands. They feel like jobs are being taken. They feel foreigners who come in, they come without money, and a few years they are richer than the local people. So there are grievances that the people have, and I'm sure that the government is addressing those.
So, Mr. President, let me ask you, because there has been some friendly dispute between Malawi and Tanzania over Lake Malawi. They call it a different name.
Yes.
How do you, right? How do you plan to resolve that dispute? Because previous presidents have tried. You were a foreign minister. You dealt with it. Mm-hmm. What is the new plan? What is going to be different under your administration?
Yeah, at the SADC meeting, no, at the COMESA.
Right.
No, actually, African Union,
right.
Before the COMESA meeting,
right.
a month earlier in February. We had a meeting. I met Face of Chisano, came to see me, who is the chairman of this group of
right.
3 leaders,
that are trying to
with Mohai of Botswana, and with the other one? Chisano, Mohai, and Beck.
Yes.
Beck, South Africa. President Beck, you know, so he came, and the following day we met. They have been to Malawi a month ago in November. Honorable Chisano and Honorable Mohai, they came there, and then we met President Kikwete, myself, Mr. Chisano, President Beck, and our foreign ministers. We met with a discussion. I think we conclude that this is a matter that we need to continue to discuss, that maybe we should talk more about integration of the economies, rather than talk about the lake, legal issues, because I think the legal issues are very clear on the lake. I don't think they're in dispute. I think everyone knows that. But so I think what we're talking about other aspects, and we'll see the leaders, the 3 leaders, at some point have to make a report. Well, it's now 3 or 4 years since they were appointed. I think they were appointed during, just after my brother's death. I think the president, it's about 3 years now, and it's a fair long time, and we'll find out what they suggest. If they feel that they've failed, and then we'll try to find other means.
Mr. President, finally, if I may ask you, what should the people of Malawi be looking ahead for after your first term expires? What should they say?
Well, good. I want them to say that in 2019, when my first term expires, they are better off than they were in 2014 when I took office. I think that will be the key, because if you look at my website, I talk about the concept of happiness. You know, the American idea of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I think underlying any government activity is the idea that you should make your people happier. Whether they have better food, they'll be happier. If they wear better clothes, they'll be happier. If a better house, they'll be happier. Drive a better car, they'll be happier. If they have good medical service, they're happier. So that's the responsibility. Lead a nation of happy people, not a nation of sad, angry, and discouraged people. So at the end of the 5 years, I would hope that people see that Malawi got better, their lives got better, in terms of their personal lives and their incomes, and all other social instruments that make life comfortable. So we do that, and then they'll see more infrastructure development in the country. I think that's what they will say we have accomplished the first 5 years.
Thank you very much, Mr. President.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
God bless.
Thank you.
Thank you.